Cathy Engelbert, the WNBA commissioner, has always carried a keen sense of purpose when it comes to the growth of women's basketball. From the outside, her office seems like a regular headquarters, but in the world of hoops, her role brings intensity, expectation, and, more recently, a referee dilemma that has rattled fans, players, and media alike. Refereeing in the WNBA has been a thorny subject, but with the recent controversies involving Caitlin Clark, it's turned into a firestorm. Cathy isn't one to be shy with her thoughts, especially on subjects that could impact the game's integrity. Behind her usual composed demeanor lies an intense commitment to the game's authenticity, especially when it comes to officials making calls that seem, well, bewildering. But before we proceed further, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. As a commissioner, Cathy has an approach that's less about fanfare and more about the nuts and bolts of progress. She's like a veteran coach drilling a team, ready to tackle whatever gets thrown her way. The refereeing issue has been an unwelcome wrinkle in her plans. On the surface, officiating might seem like a dry topic, but throw in a fan-favorite player like Caitlin Clark, whose every three-pointer and slick pass has audiences glued to their screens, and suddenly it's a front-page debate. Fans want fairness, and Cathy, knowing the importance of keeping supporters engaged, understands that the heat isn't just on the referees but on her too. Cathy's relationship with the referees is delicate. She wants the best for them, as their role is undoubtedly demanding, requiring quick decisions in high-pressure situations. But make no mistake, she also wants them to improve. She understands that for the WNBA to rise to its full potential, the referee must be at its sharpest. Yet here lies the conflict, balancing support for the officials with the demands of fans and players who see those same refs as obstacles to a pure fair game. Cathy has to appear both supportive of her officials and willing to apply pressure when necessary, a balancing act not for the faint-hearted. The recent incident involving Caitlin Clark has shifted this from a general issue to a specific point of contention. Clark's playing style is exhilarating, a mix of sharp shooting and court vision that's rare. She's a star on the rise, someone fans adore, and Cathy knows that protecting such talent is crucial for the league's growth. There was one game in particular where Clark, clearly at the top of her game, got tangled up in a series of confusing calls that left the fans frustrated. The whistles seemed to have a mind of their own, targeting Clark for what appeared to be, in the minds of fans, ticky-tack fouls. Cathy, watching from her executive perch, couldn't help but feel the irritation rising on behalf of Clark and the fans. Cathy's office buzzes with discussions about what to do next. The WNBA can't afford to alienate its fan base, especially not with a player as dynamic as Clark in the mix. She knows that when a beloved player becomes the focal point of controversial calls, it risks damaging the league's reputation. The last thing she wants is to see fans walking away, muttering about poor officiating as if it were the league's Achilles heel. No, Cathy's going to make sure this gets addressed. There's a humor to Cathy's approach, though, even the seriousness. She's known to laugh off absurdity but always circles back to the core issue. If you were to eavesdrop, you might catch her saying something like, "What's next? A foul for blinking too hard." It's not that she dismisses the referees, but she has a way of highlighting the absurdity of certain situations in a way that breaks the tension without dismissing the problem. That's Cathy, a realist with a knack for diffusing while still tackling what needs to be done. In truth, she sees the refereeing challenges as a natural growing pain for the league, a hurdle on the way to something greater. For Cathy, the controversy isn't a setback. It's a sign of just how far the WNBA has come. The fact that fans are vocally invested is, in a way, progress. Yet she's equally aware that people want solutions, not philosophical musings. She's been around long enough to know that if the WNBA is to keep building its fan base, it needs to address such issues head-on. But it's not like Cathy can just snap her fingers and overhaul the officiating. Referees, she knows, aren't robots. They're individuals trying to keep up with an ever-faster game. In her mind, the solution isn't about being harsh but being strategic. She's more inclined toward better training programs, maybe increased use of video assistance, and giving officials the tools they need to get it right. And perhaps most importantly, Cathy is the type to think a step ahead. It wouldn't be surprising if she already has a team quietly researching the latest officiating tech to bring into the league. Still, Cathy recognizes the danger of letting the controversy drag on too long. Caitlin Clark is a prime example of the WNBA's future, a player who could help pull more eyes to women's basketball, not just for her skill, but for her charisma. She's marketable, relatable, and possesses a drive that could be the foundation of the next wave of fans. Losing that momentum over refereeing complaints isn't something Cathy is willing to risk. As the commissioner, she is particularly cautious about protecting players who symbolize the league's appeal. Clark is one of them, and she's not shy about admitting, at least to her inner circle, that players like Clark deserve a level of officiating that matches their commitment and talent. In meetings with her team, Cathy has likely discussed the long-term implications of the situation. Her tone, no doubt, would be that of a coach encouraging her team to step up, not tear down. She doesn't want to create a culture where referees feel targeted, but she also isn't content with the status quo. Her vision is for a league where players can thrive without worrying about bizarre calls hindering their play. She knows that fans want authenticity in the game, and she's determined to bring that. Imagine Cathy at the WNBA headquarters, maybe tapping a pen on her desk while mulling over her next steps. She's not the kind of leader to mince words, but isn't brash either. Her plan is steady and thoughtful, no wild swings or rash statements. She knows that while this controversy burns hot now, her response could shape how fans perceive the league in the future. It's as though every whistle that fans argue over becomes a small fire, and Cathy is there with a steady bucket of water, containing the flames while strategizing ways to prevent them from igniting again. Behind closed doors, her ideas for reform might range from the ordinary to the ambitious. She's probably already working with her team on possible updates to referee training, studying if tweaks in communication could make calls clearer, or if giving refs better tools on the floor might lessen the confusion. And with her eye on the future, she might even be thinking about how to train referees who not only know the game but also understand its nuances, especially as it relates to star players like Clark who carry a huge fan presence. For Cathy, this isn't about bending the game's rules to favor any one player, no matter how popular. It's about creating a standard that treats each athlete fairly and equally while still acknowledging the impact of game-changing players. Her respect for the game is as deep as her sense of responsibility for its players. The journey here, though, is not just about avoiding mistakes but making room for growth. Cathy's leadership style is forward-looking, and she sees the officiating controversy not as a crisis, but as a calling to refine and uplift. As discussions continue, Cathy remains in her element, juggling input from players, officials, coaches, and fans. Each has their own perspective, and she's there, taking in every angle, measuring each concern like a chef seasoning a dish. Enough to make it work, but not so much that it overpowers the final product. And as the noise builds, Cathy's clarity cuts through. She's not interested in letting this be the defining story of the WNBA season. Her focus, as always, remains on the players and the fans who turn out to watch them. The road ahead is one of subtle adjustments, not sweeping reforms, as Cathy sees it. Her aim is to bring harmony where there's friction and clarity where there's confusion. She isn't one to leave a stone unturned, but also doesn't see the need to shake every tree in the forest to fix one issue. Her approach is steady, thoughtful, and calculated, understanding that while the controversy feels big now, the solution lies in consistent improvement and steadfast dedication to the sport's integrity. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content. We thrive on your feedback, so be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Until next time, keep discovering and stay tuned.